Dear all, a very good evening to all of you. I am Kajal. On behalf of the team Texo, welcome you all on our special webinar on 360-degree analysis of amnesty scheme under GST case law. In today's session, we have with us CN Mol Gupta sir and GST expert who will share his insights on the topic of the day that many of us have been looking forward to. Before we start the session, I would like to share the new features of Texo Online. We have updated case law library with over 10,000 judgment with intelligent multiple search option. You can find notification circular with search tools and notification tree for rate, cess, exemption in RCM. We have also updated the model draft reply of key notices and research on contemporary issues. Next is our Ask GST query feature to get concept clarification. Also, we have an intelligent rate finder for goods and services. All 174 section interlinked with acts, rules, notifications, circulars, FAQs, commentary, illustration, and cherry-picked case laws. Daily updates to subscriber via WhatsApp and email. All the features are available at a very affordable price only with Texo Online. We, Texo family, are honored to get your support to make our journey meaningful. We are grateful if we could get the reference, and for the reference, you can just share the number at 9891005210. I just repeat, it's 9891005210. Now, I would like to welcome CN Mol Gupta sir to kindly share the insights on the topic of the day. Sir, please welcome.
Thank you, Kajal. So, friends, at the outset, would like to thank Team Taxo for giving me this opportunity to come before you today to deliberate on a very important topic that is there for essentially, I would say, till 31st March, though it is a forever scheme, but the majority of the cases will be covered by 31st March. So the topic for the day that we are going to discuss is the amnesty scheme or the waiver scheme under Section 128A of the GST Act. So basically, we are going to discuss the basic fundamentals of the scheme, the intricacies of the scheme. We are going to discuss it with some illustrations so that you can have a simpler understanding of the scheme. Along with that, we are going to discuss the procedures that are there, that how to file an application, in which form you have to file an application, whether the rejection order is an appealable order or not, and what will happen if the scheme gets approved or your application gets approved. This way, we are going to discuss through the help of flow charts, the how the procedures follow under the scheme. And then we are going to discuss one important topic, that is what are the open issues wherein the government should address the difficulties being faced by the taxpayers procedurally while filing the scheme, as well as with respect to the various clarifications that are required. So, friends, before we start, I would like to request you that whatever queries that you have, you should put in the chat box. And at the end of this session, we are going to take 10-15 minutes to answer all the queries which are related to Section 128A of the GST Act. So, Kajal, I'll quickly share my screen. Please let me know if my screen is visible. I'll just share.
Yes.
My screen is visible, Kajal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's visible.
Yeah. So, I'll be taking the deliberation in English, in Hindi and English both. So if anyone has any issues with the Hindi, because some of our friends may be joining us from South India, southern part of India. So please let me know. I'll deliberate in English only then. So moving forward, at the outset, let us understand that how the scheme has been brought into effect. So basically, the recommendation to bring such a scheme to give waiver from interest and penalty for the first 3 years of implementation of GST was brought into effect by way of 53rd GST Council meeting, which was held on 22nd of June 2024. This is the council meeting which was held immediately after the elections, the Lok Sabha elections that took place, and to give effect to these recommendations, the Finance Bill number two, please note down, Finance Bill number two, not number one. Number one was laid down in Lok Sabha before the election took place, and after the election took place and the government was formed, the final bill was laid down on 23rd of July 2024, wherein it was Section 128A was introduced, and then the president received assent. President gave assent to the finance bill, and finance bill became Finance Act. But this 128A was notified to come into effect from 1st of November 2024 by way of notification number 17 of 2024. Now, this is the act that came into effect. What about the rules and the clarification? So, immediately in the next council meeting, that is 54th council meeting, two agendas were discussed. One is to bring Rule 164 into effect in order to prescribe the mechanism and the forms in which you have to file the application under the scheme, the procedures, and also to issue a circular to clarify various open issues that were there, which were not addressed in Section 128A and the industry was facing. So to give effect to 54 GST Council meeting recommendations, notification 20 of 2024 brought Rule 164, and it notified that it will come into effect from 1st of November 2024, and a very very important circular, circular number 238 of 32 of 2024, it was issued on 15th of October 2024. So it is very important. Please note down this circular number 238 of 32 of 2024. Many a times when I give a lecture on this particular topic, I feel that there are many queries coming up from the participants, which if we go through this circular, the circular number 238, we'll get our queries answered. So it is a very very important circular. It is a elaborate 15-page circular. It covers each and every aspect that you probably may be having issues with. So what about the basics of the 128? So basics, there is one thing first and foremost, that it is only for bona fide cases. So under the GST law, we have two types of sections under which a show cause notice or an order can be passed. One is Section 73 and the other one is Section 74. So Section 73 caters to the bona fide cases, which is where there is a non-payment of tax or wrongful availment of ITC due to reasons not attributable to any fraudulent intent or malafide suppression, willful misstatement, intent to evade payment of taxes. So those cases comes under Section 73. But where there is a non-payment or short payment of taxes or wrongful availment or utilization of ITC due to reasons which are attributable to fraudulent intent, willful misstatement, suppression with an intent to evade payment of taxes, all those cases comes under Section 74 of the GST Act. So first and foremost, Section 128A is not for those cases which falls under Section 74. It is only for the cases which falls under Section 73. That is only for the bona fide mistakes that have been committed by the taxpayer, resulting in short payment or non-payment of taxes or wrongful availment or utilization of input tax credit. First thing. Second important fundamental of Section 128A is that the scheme is only for first 3 years of the GST coming into force, that is for 17, 18, 18, 19 and 19, 20. So for all these 3 years only this scheme is valid. For 2021, 2020, 21, 22, this scheme is not valid. You have to either pay off your taxes or you have to litigate. You cannot avail the benefit of this scheme. It is only for first 3 years of the implementation of the GST. Then coming now, let us discuss. So first issue I have already discussed that it is only for the bona fide cases. Now let us discuss what are cases are covered. So everyone generally knows that there are three cases which are covered under this scheme. One is where show cause notice has been issued but no order has been passed. Basically, the show cause notice has proposed a demand. We have filed a reply but no order has been passed yet. The second one being the adjudication order has been passed, meaning Section 73 order has been passed, confirming the demand and which we have challenged in first appeal, but no appellate order has been passed under Section 107 yet. And the third one is appellate order has been passed, but no GST appellate tribunals order has been passed under Section 113. Now, the fourth important issue that is also covered under this scheme, that is why I said that this is a forever scheme. This is not a scheme which is in force only till 31st of March or 30th of June. This is a forever scheme. You can even avail the benefit of this scheme after 10 years from today. Why? Because there is this fourth case also covered under the scheme wherein as of now you have received the show cause notice under section 74, let us say, and the order has been passed, but you file a appeal, and maybe at the first appellate level or tribunal level or high court level going forward in future, you are able to successfully procure an order wherein it has been stated that there is no fraudulent intent, there is no malified intent of the taxpayer, and therefore this case does not fall under section 74. In those cases, as per section 75 subsection 2, it has been stated that where the malified intent is department fails to establish a malified intent, in those cases the section 74 cases gets converted to section 73 cases. So some demand will go as they are time barred, because for section 73 the show cause notice and order has to be issued in a certain time limit, but for section 74 the time limit is enhanced. So maybe as per section 74 they have issued the SCN and order, but it is not falling within the normal time limit as per section 74. So some demand may go, but some may still be left in some cases. In that cases, the demand which is left even after the reassessment under section 73, for that demand, you can very well opt for the scheme under section 128A. So friends, there are four cases. One, the show cause notice has been passed but no adjudication order passed. Second, the adjudication order passed but no first appellate authority order passed. Third, appellate authority order passed but no GST appellate tribunal order passed. And fourth, the show cause notice has been issued or the order has been passed under section 74, but later it has been decided that case does not fall under section 74 and it is reassessed, re-adjudicated under section 73. In that case also you can very well opt for the waiver benefit under section 128A. Now I would like to discuss about the first and third point of this particular topic. First point talks about the show cause notice issued under section 73 but no order passed. Now let us examine that since this scheme is only for the first 3 years of the implementation of GST, whether there is any case as on date wherein the show cause notice has been issued but no order has been passed. For 1718, in section 73, the time limit for issuance of show cause notice was 30th of September 2023, and the time limit to pass the order was 31st of December 2023. That means that timeline has been passed both for issuance of SN as well as order. So it will not fall under first case because the scheme has come into effect from 1st of November 2024. With respect to 1819, the show cause notice was to be issued under section 73 by 31st of January 2024 and the order was to be passed by 30th of April 2024. Again, it will not be covered because the order has already been passed. Now, the third for 1920, the show cause notice was to be issued under section. The show cause notice under section 73 was to be issued on or before 31st of May 2024, and the order was to be passed by 31st of August 2024. So again, for 1920, the show cause notices must have been adjudicated, or if they have not been adjudicated, the demand must have become time barred. So friends, what do you think will be the purpose of the government to specifically add this one point that where show cause notice has been issued under section 73 but no order has been passed? Because as on the date of implementation of the scheme, there will be no such case. If the order is not passed till date, it has become time barred. Why will I opt for the scheme? But there is this one case which will still fall under this scenario. The cases where the show cause notice was issued, you filed a writ petition before the Honorable High Court under Article 226 of the Constitution against the show cause notice itself, and the stay has been granted by the High Court saying that you should not pass any order till the time I finally decide the writ petition of the taxpayer. In those cases, the show cause notices are still pending and the time limit to pass the order has still not lapsed because the stay has been given. So that time is already there with the department. So in future, if High Court rejects the writ petition of the assessee, so the department still has the time to pass the order for first 3 years since the stay has been granted by the High Court. So we have seen many cases, maybe for section 168A, challenging the timelines which were extended for these 3 years to pass the SCN and order under section 73. Those timelines have been challenged, saying that there was no COVID period, but you have resorted to COVID and extended your timelines, which should not be extended. So in all those cases, you can very well withdraw the writ petition before the High Court and go under this scheme to avail the benefit of interest and penalty waiver. In that case, you will fall under the first scenario, that is show cause notice is issued, but the order has not been passed. Now the third category is an obvious category, that it says the appellate order has been passed, but GST appellate order has not been passed. So in those cases also, it is an obvious category that GST appellate tribunal has not been constituted till date. So there is no single scenario wherein I would opt for there will be a GST appellate tribunal order that has been passed. So this will automatically be there whenever there is a first appellate authority's order that has been passed. Now moving forward, uh, what is the relief? There are two kinds of relief that has been granted under this scheme. One is you will get the waiver from the entire interest and penalty that has been determined as per the show cause notice or the order, as the case may be, against which you are filing the application under the scheme. And the second relief that is there is the pending proceedings. So if you have any show cause notice that is pending or any order that is pending against which you are applying under the scheme, those proceedings will automatically be deemed to be concluded. What is the condition? You have to pay the 100% tax that has been ascertained as per the show cause notice or the order against which you are filing the application under the scheme. You have to pay the 100% of the tax dues in order to get the relief or waiver of interest and penalty, as well as to get the proceedings concluded under the section 128A. So friends, what is the time limit to file the application to make the payment under this scheme? So there are two timelines basically. One is like I mentioned in the starting of the today's deliberation itself, that majority of the cases will be covered by 31st of March, and some cases will be left as a forever scheme. So there are two cases. One where the initial show cause notice is itself is issued under section 73. That is a normal case wherein you'll see that these first three cases will be covered. These first three cases will be covered. And then there is an exceptional special case, which is the fourth case, where the notice was issued under section 74, but later in future going forward, it is reassessed under section 73. So in normal cases, you have to make the payment on or before 31st of March 2025. So if you are making payment of 100% tax dues as per SCNO order after 31st of March 2025, sorry, you are not eligible for availing the benefit under this scheme. So it is crucial that you apply only when you feel you apply only when you have made the payment on or before 31st of March 2025. But in special cases, that is the case where 74 order has been converted to reassessed under section 73. In those cases, 6 months from the date of order passed under section 73, reassessing the liability under section 73, within 6 months you can make the payment. So even going forward, let's suppose at the tribunal stage, it has been decided that section 74 has been wrongly invoked, section 73 should have been invoked in this particular case, and this decision comes after, let's say, 5 years down the line. So even on that date when this decision has come and the reassessed demand has been made under section 73, from that date, after 6 months, within 6 months you can make the payment and be eligible for availing the benefit under section 128A. So in those cases where you have already filed the appeal or writ petition before the Honorable High Court, you have to withdraw the writ petition or the appeal on or before 31st March 2025 for availing the benefit. So first checklist from today's session is that on or before 31st March 2025, you have to do two things. One is you need to file an application for withdrawal of appeal or writ petition, as the case may be, if any. And the second thing is you need to make the payment of the entire tax dues as per the show cause notice or the order before 31st March 2025. If you do any of these two things after 31st March, you will not be eligible for claiming the waiver of interest and penalty under this scheme. Now, certain scenarios which have been clarified by the government and contained in section 128A read with rule 164, we are going to discuss that, and then in the next slide we are going to discuss certain clarifications that have been given in the circular. These are the clarifications which are contained in the section 128A read with rule 164, that is in the law itself. Firstly, if you have already paid the interest and penalty, so for example, I have already paid 10 lakhs of interest has been demanded from me, and I have paid 3 lakhs of interest already. My appeal is with respect to 7 lakhs of interest. So in case you make the payment of taxes, you will not get the refund of 3 lakhs. 3 lakhs has already been paid, but you will get the relief from 7 lakhs. Demand for erroneous refund is not covered under the scheme. So if you have a show cause notice or order which contains a demand for erroneous refund, you are not eligible for this scheme. Erroneous refund is basically I have applied for refund. My refund was sanctioned. It was credited to my bank account, but later department found out that this refund was not due to me. I have wrongly taken this refund. So in those cases, if there is any demand for erroneous refund, meaning thereby the demand to recover back the refund that has already been sanctioned to the taxpayer, those cases are not covered. The government is saying that we will recover this along with interest and penalty. You won't get the benefit of interest and penalty waiver for these cases. If you have already availed the benefit under 128A, you cannot decide in future going forward that no, sir, I don't want to avail the benefit under 128A. Let me go through the appeal mechanism only. Let me litigate. So basically, this clarification is for those cases. For example, I have availed a construction related ITC, which was not available as per the law, as per the industry norms. The demand has come. I have reversed it. I have availed the benefit of 128A, and let's suppose Safari retreats come in judgment come in future, and it is decided by the Honorable High Court that I'll get the benefit of this construction related ITC also. So I cannot go back that, sir, please take away my benefit under section 128A and let me file an appeal or pursue my case before the adjudicating authority. I want to pursue the litigation so that I'll get the benefit in favor. No, if you have opted for 128A, you cannot go back and de-opt the scheme. You have already opted. Now the proceedings are concluded. You cannot litigate it again. This is a very interesting case. There are two cases basically. Since the scheme covers only 3 years, so there may be a case where a show cause notice, a single show cause notice is issued for two periods, one which is covered under the scheme and one which is not covered under the scheme. For example, a show cause notice proposes a tax demand of 10 lakhs, out of which 8 lakhs is for 1920 and 2 lakhs is for 2021. So 2021 is not eligible under the scheme. So what will I do in that case? Whether I'll not be eligible for the scheme because one period is not covered under the scheme, or I will be eligible for the scheme. And if I am eligible for the scheme, how do I need to make the payment of taxes? Whether I can avail the benefit for 1920 and continue to protest or litigate 2021 in the litigation process. So the answer to that is first, you are eligible under the scheme for 1920. The second answer is that no, you cannot litigate 2021. You have to pay the entire 10 lakhs along with interest and penalty on 2 lakhs. That is interest and penalty for the issue which is beyond the scheme. So 2021 is beyond the scheme. So on 2 lakhs, you have to pay the interest and penalty also within 3 months from the date you get the acceptance under the scheme. And then only you will get the relief of interest on penalty on 8 lakhs. That is for the period which is covered under the scheme. The second scenario for this is where there are two issues. So, for example, one issue is 2A versus 3B, on which there is a demand of 8 lakhs, and the other issue is this erroneous refund, on which the demand is of 2 lakhs. So, similar to 1920 and 2021, you have to do the same maths. You need to pay the entire 10 lakhs, apply for the scheme. You need to pay the 10 lakhs before 31st March 2025. You need to file an application under the scheme. Your application will be accepted by the authority going forward, and when as and when it will be accepted, the authority will say that now you need to pay interest and penalty on that 2 lakhs also, and within 3 months you need to pay the interest and penalty on that 2 lakhs also. If you don't pay interest and penalty on that 2 lakhs, for 8 lakhs the interest and penalty waiver that you have been given, it will be withdrawn by the government. It is very important to note that on that 2 lakhs, that is on the issues or on the period which is not covered under the scheme, you have to deemed accept the liability and you have to pay it along with interest and penalty. If you don't pay the interest and penalty within 3 months of the acceptance, your acceptance will be void, and on that 8 lakhs also you will not get the relief of interest and penalty. Uh, then there is the third scenario that in cases, as you may have seen, that section 16(4) restricts a timeline that by when a recipient can avail the input tax credit of any inward supplies. For 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20 and 2021, that timeline has been extended by virtue of section 16 subsection 5, which is recently introduced from a retrospective date. As per section 16(5), that time limit for first 4 years has been extended to 30th of November 2021. So in case you have a issue which is partially, let's suppose 2A versus 3B, 8 lakhs of demand. And on 16/4, the demand is of 2 lakhs. So 16/4 is already covered because now the date has been extended retrospectively to 30th of November 2021. And let us suppose I have already availed the credit by 30th of November 2021. In that case, you don't need to pay that 2 lakhs. You just need to intimate to the government by way of the application that 2 lakhs is falling under section 16(5) and therefore I need not pay. The officer will verify if it is falling under section 16(5). In that case, your 2 lakhs demand will be set aside under section 128A only, and you'll get the interest and penalty waiver on 8 lakhs under the scheme. This I have already discussed that you need to pay within 3 months, else the acceptance will be void. Now let us discuss the flow diagram, that how you need to file the application under the scheme, in which form you have to file. So, if you are filing the application against the show cause notice that is pending as on date, in that case, you need to file the application in form SPL 01 along with the details of proof of payment, which should be DRC 3 only. So, please note that the proof of payment will only be DRC 3, it cannot be any other mode. You have to pay only through DRC 3 and furnish the proof to the government along with SPL 01. So while filing SPL 01, there is a column to upload the proof of payment. So you have to upload the proof of payment as DRC 3. But if you are applying against adjudication or appellate order, you have to file the application form SPL 02 along with the proof of payment. The proof of payment in this case is only and only credit entry in e-liability ledger. So basically, whenever there is a confirmed demand against you, if you see in part B of e-liability register, in part B of e-liability register, there is a debit entry already coming which has created the demand against you that is pending to be recovered against you. So if you cause a credit entry against that debit entry, so if you show that there is a tax demand of 100 rupees and I have made a credit entry of 100 rupees of tax liability, that will only be accepted as a proof of payment. But sir, what will happen in case I have already paid the demand via DRC 3? In that cases, as per the circular, you need to follow the method prescribed under Rule 142, Sub Rule 2B, which says that you have to file an application from DRC 3A, and that DRC 3A will link your liability directly in e-liability register, and then again credit entry that has been caused in e-liability register will serve as a valid proof of payment that has been made by the taxpayer. Along with this, in form SPL 01 or SPL 02, you need to upload the proof of withdrawal of appeal or writ petition if any has been filed by the taxpayer. After this, the application has been received by the proper officer. Now, the proper officer may be of the view that your application is liable to be approved or liable to be rejected. If he is of the view that it is liable to be approved, in that case, he will directly pass the acceptance order in SPL 05 within 3 months of receipt of your application. But in case he is of the view that it is liable to be rejected, so following the principles of natural justice, he within 3 months of receipt of application, he has to issue the show cause notice in form SPL 03. So it is important that whenever you file the application within 3 months, either the officer has to accept and pass the order in SPL 05, or within 3 months he will issue a show cause notice in SPL 03. Within 1 month, you have the time limit to file reply within 1 month of issuance of SPL 3, and you have to file the reply in SPL 04. Now, after SPL 04, after taking your reply, if he is satisfied that your reply is proper, he will again pass the order in SPL 05 accepting your application, or if he is of the view he is not satisfied with your order, in that case he has to pass the rejection order in SPL 07. In case SPL 05 has been issued, what will happen to the liability that is already there in my e-liability register in cases of order? So in cases of order, if there is a liability in e-liability register against the tax liability, you have already paid it off. Against the interest and penalty, the law says that the officer will modify the interest and penalty liability that is there in your e-liability register, and it will nullify that liability. But in case you have filed the application under against a show cause notice, a pending show cause notice, in that case, the law says that there is no requirement for the proper officer to pass any order, and the order in SPL 05 will serve as a proper order for conclusion of proceedings that were issued that were initiated in show cause notice. Now let us suppose my rejection order has been passed in SPL 07. So there is an ambiguity even under the erstwhile Sabka Vishwas scheme. that was introduced by the government, if you can see, there was no mechanism prescribed under the Sabka Vishwas scheme, which is of legacy issues, the service tax and central excise issues, and that whether you can file an appeal against the rejection order. So assessee used to approach directly to the High Court against the rejection that has been made under SVLDRS, Sabka Vishwas litigation reduction scheme. So in this case, the law itself says that your rejection order in SPL 07 is an appealable order under section 107. So let us suppose I have not filed the appeal. I have accepted that my rejection is proper. I am not eligible under this scheme. In that case, my original appeal, if any, which I have withdrawn for filing the application in SPL 02, it will be restored, and similar will be the matter with writ petition. But if I file a writ petition and the application is accepted, or it may be rejected, my appeal, if it is rejected, again my original appeal will be restored, but I need to file an undertaking in SPL 08. But if my appeal is accepted, the officer will pass, the appellate authority will pass an order in SPL 06 accepting the application under this scheme. Again, if my my application is accepted by way of an order in SPL 06, my liability in e-liability register will be modified, and if there is any show cause notice, there is no need to pass the order. So summing up, SPL 01, the form for filing application under this scheme against a pending show cause notice. SPL 02 is the form for filing application under this scheme against any adjudication or appellate order which is pending as on date. SPL 03 is the form for issuing show cause notice by the proper officer proposing rejection of your application under the scheme. Form SPL 04 is the reply that you need to file under this scheme, saying that my liability, my case is covered under the scheme, and my application should not be rejected. SPL 05 is the acceptance order. SPL 06 is an acceptance order by the first appellate authority. SPL 07 is a rejection order, which is an appealable order, and SPL 08 is the format of filing the undertaking that I will not further file any appeal against this appellate order, and I accept that my application is not liable to be accepted under this scheme, and therefore please allow me to restore my original appeal. One more important thing, when you are filing an appeal against SPL 07, you cannot contest the merits of the case. You cannot say, sir, my 2A versus 3B liability should not be there, my 2A has increased, or I have the supplier certificate. No. When filing an appeal against SPL 07, you only need to contest on the ground that my rejection is improper, I am eligible under this scheme by virtue of so and so provision or by virtue of so and so circular. Now, what is the time limit to file the application under SPL 01 or 02? So, normal cases wherein the show cause notice of order itself from the starting was issued under section 73. In those cases, I have the time limit till 30th of June 2025. So, from 1st November till 30th of June 2025, I can file the application anytime. In SPL 01 or 2, after 30th June, I cannot file. But for special cases wherein the 74 demand has been converted to section 73, maybe after 5 years down the line, in those cases, the order reassessing the demand under section 73, within 6 months, I can make the application. So in normal cases, you have to make the payment by 31st of March 2025, and you have to file the application by 30th of June 2025. But in special cases, within 6 months of passing the order reassessing the demand under section 73, you have to make both the payment under section 128A as well as you have to file the application under section 128 within the period of 6 months only. Now, what will happen in those cases wherein I have filed the application for withdrawal of appeal by 31st of March 2025, but by 31st of March 2025, I have not received, or by 30th of June 2025, because I have to upload the withdrawal order by 30th of June 2025. I have not received any withdrawal order. In that case, the law says that you can file the application along with proof of applying for withdrawal of appeal, and once the order is passed within 1 month, you can upload the order on the portal saying my appeal has been withdrawn. But for the time being, for filing SPL 1 or 2, you can only furnish a copy of proof that I have applied for withdrawal and it has not been done till date. Moving forward, if no order has been passed, no order means SPL 5 or SPL 7. So if SPL 5 or SPL 7 is not passed within the stipulated time period, your scheme will be deemed to be accepted and you will get the relief. If I have filed this one example I'll take to explain this particular point. Let us suppose there was a show cause notice which proposed a demand of 10 lakh rupees on three issues. On one issue, the demand is dropped at the adjudication stage. Let's suppose 2 lakhs demand is dropped, only 8 lakhs demand is left. For 8 lakhs demand, I have filed an appeal before the first appellate forum. Now the scheme came into effect and I filed an application for that 8 lakh rupees, that my 8 lakh rupees of dues are pending. I'll pay it off. I'll get the interest and penalty waiver. Now, in that case, if there is any department appeal that has been filed against that 2 lakhs which was already dropped by the adjudication order, and in case the appellate authority decides going forward in future that 2 lakhs is liable to be paid by the taxpayer, in that case, you have to pay that 2 lakhs along with interest and penalty within 3 months of the order of the appellate authority, else your interest and penalty waiver that you have availed on 8 lakh rupees, it will also be void in nature. You won't be able to enforce that also. The application will be filed in SPL 1 or 2 on the GST common portal. However, it will be mapped in case you are filing it against the show cause notice. So it will be mapped to the adjudicating authority. So you need to visit the adjudicating authority to explain that why you have filed the application, or to furnish any document if you want. But in case you are filing the application against the adjudication order or appellate order, in that case, your application in form SPL 02 will go to the jurisdictional officer, which is the recovery officer under section 79. Now let us discuss the clarifications that were given by the government via circular number 238. It is a 15-page circular, very long circular. I have only incorporated some 10, 11 clarifications which I feel is not repeated, because they have clarified certain positioning which is already there in section 128A read with rule 164. So I have already incorporated certain clarifications which I feel was not there in the law and has been clarified by this circular. First is where I have already paid the tax prior to 128A coming into force. Yes, you are eligible for adjusting that tax. So, for example, there is a liability of 100 rupees and you have already paid 20 rupees under protest at the time of inquiry only. So, that 20 rupees can be adjusted, and now you only need to pay 80 rupees in order to avail the benefit of interest and penalty waiver. If the recovery has been made by the proper officer from the third person, not from me, but from my, let's suppose, my debtor or my bank, in that case, whatever the recovery has been made, that will also be adjusted from the payment that you need to be make under 128A. If the officer has already recovered any interest or penalty, that cannot be adjusted towards the tax dues need to be paid separately. For interest and penalty, you won't get any refund. Where the show cause notice of order is only for interest and penalty portion, that those cases will be covered. I get this query a lot. People ask this query a lot. It is stated in the circular itself that where the show cause notice of order is passed only for interest and penalty, whereas you have already paid the taxes. You are eligible for the scheme. You need not pay any taxes. You just need to opt for the scheme and your interest and penalty demand will go. Can it be opted? The scheme can be opted for part issues while continuing to litigate the remaining issues. No. If you need to opt for the scheme, you need to opt wholly and solely. You cannot choose key for 2A versus 3B demand. Let us go for the scheme. For 1 versus 3B demand, let us continue to litigate because that is a case that I have strong on merits. No, you have to either opt for the entire dues or you have to litigate the entire dues. You cannot, there is no option in between. Wherein the demand is for IGST and compensation, says yes, you are eligible under the scheme. Irregularly availed transitional credit, a very good logic has been given in the circular. It says that yes, these cases are covered because the transitional credit has become ITC in the current GST regime, and if you have wrongly availed ITC, it is very well covered under the scheme. But the only condition is that the transitional credit should be credited to your e-credit ledger on or before 31st of March 2020. The reason being that only first 3 years are covered under the scheme: 17, 18, 18, 19, and 19, 20. So in case you have a transitional credit which is credited in your e-credit ledger on or before within these 3 years, so on or before 31st March 2020, in those cases only you will be eligible to avail the benefit under the scheme. If it has been credited after such date, in those cases that transitional credit demand is not covered under section 128A. Late fee redemption fine, no, 128A does not cover those cases. Uh, Then adjustment of pre-deposit made via DRC3. Yes, it can be done. As I already told you, you need to file an application in DRC3A to convert it into credit entry in e-liability register, and that credit entry in e-liability register will serve as a valid proof for payment under this scheme. Pre-deposit, if you have already made, yes, it can also be adjusted. The mechanism is same, that you need to file a DRC3A if the pre-deposit was made via DRC3. Payment under the scheme via ITC, definitely you can make the payment under the scheme via ITC only if there is any demand on reverse charge mechanism. In that cases, you cannot make the payment under the scheme via ITC. Otherwise, you can make the payment under the scheme via ITC. Do I have the option to pursue litigation, give up the benefit of waiver? As I've already discussed, no. If you have already opted for waiver scheme under 128A, you cannot go back and pursue a litigation. Now the proceedings are concluded, the issue is concluded. Benefit under 128A can be taken for imports IGST payable under Customs Act. No, the scheme is under GST law. For IGST that is required to be paid as per the Customs Act, that will not be covered under this scheme. Now, there's this very recent advisory that has been issued, a very important advisory. The third para is very important. It says, it lays down the mechanism that how to withdraw the appeal, because again I get this query a lot. For withdrawal of appeal, a procedure is already mentioned in Rule 109C of CGST rules. I repeat, Rule 109C of CGST rules. However, as per this advisory, it says that if the appeal has been filed before 21st of March 2023, the facility to file an online application for withdrawal of appeal is not available on the portal. You need to file a manual application, a manual letter, a request letter before the appellate authority, asking them that, sir, I want to withdraw my appeal for so and so reasons, and I reserve my right to get my appeal restored if I'm not eligible for the scheme. If I'm eligible for the scheme, I wish to withdraw the appeal under the appeal that I have filed before your good self. But if the appeal has been filed after 21st of March 2023, in those cases, you can file application in form APL 01W for withdrawal of appeal on the GST Common Portal itself. In those cases where I have filed the appeal manually only, I have not filed the appeal online. In those cases, irrespective of the date on which it has been filed, you need to file a manual request letter before the first appellate authority saying that, sir, please allow me to withdraw my appeal because I want to opt for section 128A benefit. Now, moving forward to the second last topic for the day, the illustrations that we are going to discuss. I am seeing that there are many queries that are there in the chat box. 19 queries. So I feel that the participants are very well participating in the today's session. So I would request, I'll take a 20-30 second pause in every illustration. I would request if you can answer. I'll see if you have gained the better understanding of the scheme. So the first illustration is that ABC Limited has received a show cause notice proposing demand of 10 lakh along with interest under section 50 and penalty under section 73 for the financial year 18-19. During the proceedings, the company has already made the voluntary payment of 10 lakhs as tax, 2 lakhs as interest and 50,000 as penalty, but the order has confirmed the demand as 10 lakhs as tax, 7 lakhs as interest and 1 lakh as penalty. So in that case, whether ABC, if opting under 128A, will be eligible for the refund of interest of 2 lakhs and 50,000 as penalty, which is already paid before passing of the order, since they are entitled for the entire interest and penalty waiver. So friends, what are your views, whether they'll get, ABC Limited will get the refund of 2 lakhs of interest and 5 lakhs of penalty? So the answer is no, as has been rightly mentioned by Nehal Sejpal ji and Hitin Kishnani ji. So yes, the answer is no. You will get the waiver from 2 lakhs of pending interest liability and 50,000 of pending penalty liability. Whatever you have paid, you will not get the refund of that. Moving forward, the second illustration. ABC Limited has received a show cause notice proposing demand of 50 lakh rupees, out of which 1920 demand is 30 lakhs and 2021 demand is 20 lakhs. Company wishes to avail the benefit under this scheme. First question, whether they are eligible. Second question, if yes, how much liability to be paid by the ABC Limited in order to get the interest and penalty waiver, and how much interest and penalty waiver they will get. So two questions. One, whether they are eligible, And the second question, if they are eligible, how much interest and penalty waiver they will get and how much tax payment they need to be make. We have already discussed this topic few slides back. Nehal ji says, yes, they are eligible. Hitin ji says, yes, they are eligible. Okay, yes, they are eligible. Now let us come to the second question. How much liability they need to pay and how much waiver they will get. So, as has been mentioned in the chat box, 50 lakhs entire they need to pay before 31st of March 2025. And once they receive an this SPL 05 or SPL 06, that is the acceptance order, within 3 months they need to pay the interest and penalty also on that 20 lakhs. Otherwise, they will not be entitled for the interest and penalty waiver on 30 lakhs also. Their SPL 5 or 6 will become void itself. Third scenario is again same. Part issues are on the issues which are covered, and part is on erroneous refund which is not covered under this scheme. So in this case also you need to pay entire 45 lakhs in order to avail the benefit under this scheme. Once SPL 5 or 6 is issued, you need to within 3 months you need to pay the interest and penalty also on 15 lakhs in order to get the waiver of interest and penalty on 30 lakhs on the issues which are covered under this scheme. PQR Limited has been issued a show cause notice dated so and so for financial year 1920 under section 73 on account of following two allegations. One is ITC availed from a dealer who has not filed 3B, and the second is 2A 3B mismatch, and the third one is RCM liability of 2 lakhs. In this scenario, how much liability can be made via e-credit ledger? Can the entire tax can be paid, this entire 6 lakhs, can entire 6 lakhs be paid via e-credit ledger, or how much liability needs to be paid via e-credit ledger and how much liability needs to be paid via e-cash ledger? Anyone would like to answer? Nehal ji has correctly mentioned that 4 lakhs needs to be paid via credit, can be paid via credit. It is not a mandatory thing that you need to pay it via credit. You can be paid via credit or cash. But 2 lakhs, the demand under RCM, that needs to be mandatorily paid via cash. 2 lakhs needs to be mandatorily paid via cash. 4 lakhs you can pay either via cash or credit as per your convenience and the balance available in your ledgers. Last question. Tax department has pointed out a discrepancy of 10 lakhs. It was accepted and paid by the taxpayer in full. However, no interest and penalty was paid, and therefore a show cause notice was issued demanding only interest and penalty. Whether he is entitled for the waiver under this scheme? Yes, they are entitled for the waiver under this scheme for this interest and penalty show cause notice. So friends, this was the entire scheme that we have discussed till now. Moving forward, the last topic for the day, the scheme is already discussed in detail. There are certain issues which, in my understanding, are pending, which we feel should be clarified by the government. Because in going forward, if there is no clarity on those issues, there might be a litigation on those issues. First and very important, I have bifurcated this open issues into two parts. One is technical, second is procedural. Procedural are the difficulties which we are facing while filing the application in SPL 01 or 02, and technical are those cases which the issues which we are facing in determining whether I am eligible for the scheme or not. So the first and very important issue which I get, which query I get in every seminar that is there, that in case I received an order, but I deliberately did not file any appeal, or I could not file the appeal within the given time period, and the time period has lapsed now, whether I'll be eligible for the scheme. Strictly speaking, I feel you should be eligible and I feel you should be applying under the scheme. However, we have also applied to the Honorable CBIC to issue a suitable clarification on this so that there is no different views. The reason why this is an open issue, because this is an admitted demand now, because you cannot file an appeal now. The time limit has already been lapsed. So department may take a view. Even a few days back, a department officer was saying that in case there is no appeal pending, you cannot file an application. So they are also of the view now that if you don't have any appeal pending, it is an admitted dues. We are going to recover sooner or later along with interest and penalty. So why should we give you the waiver of interest and penalty when there is no litigation pending? But I feel you should apply under the scheme. If any show cause notice is issued, you should properly reply to that show cause notice and get the benefit under this scheme. By then, we are expecting a clarification from the government. The other aspect of this particular issue only, a very important aspect, let us suppose my order was for 100 rupees and I chose to file appeal only with respect to 80 rupees. So 20 I have already deposited, 80 I need to deposit. So whether I can apply under the scheme for entire 100 or only for 80, because the appeal is pending only for 80. But I need the interest and penalty waiver on 20 also, because 20 I have already paid while filing the appeal, but interest and penalty I might not have paid. So in those cases also we feel it is again the issue of admitted demand only. So that those cases will also be covered under the scheme in our interpretation. Now the second issue is a very very important issue, because the circular that I just discussed, circular number 238, it has given a clarification which is nowhere in the GST law. It has stated that those cases which are covered under section 7512, those cases are not covered under section 128A. Now let us understand what is section 7512. Section 7512 says that in case of self-assessed tax, there is no need to go for section 73 or section 74. You need to directly do the recovery proceedings under section 79. What is self-assessed tax? Self-assessed tax has been defined in the explanation to section 7512 as the liability which you have reported in GSTR 1 but you have not paid in GSTR 3B. So now, as per the clarification, whether the show cause notice issued on GSTR 1 versus 3B mismatch, I won't be able to file the application under 128A, but no. I feel it is in our opinion, in my humble opinion, that section 7512 says that in case of 1 versus 3B demand, you need not go to section 73 or section 74 by way of issuance of any show cause notice or order. You can directly initiate the recovery proceedings under section 79. But in all those cases where a show cause notice has been issued on 1 versus 3B mismatch, in all those cases, we feel that taxpayer are eligible for filing the application under the scheme because a show cause notice has been issued. So the officer is himself accepting that it is not falling under section 75 subsection 12. The third issue is where a single show cause notice or order has been issued covering demand on certain issues under section 74 while on certain issues under section 73. We feel that in line with the two issues that we discussed, that where one show cause notice covers part demand for 1920 and part demand for 2021, or part demand on certain issues which are eligible and part demand on erroneous refund, this is a similar case. So ideally, taking the intent from those two cases, we feel that on section 74 you need to pay off entirely with interest and penalty, and on 73 you will get the penalty and interest waiver, though a express clarification is awaited from the government. Then the fourth scenario is that I have made the payment under section 128A. How will my recipient be eligible to take the ITC? Because I am making the payment under section 73 on issues which are under section 73. If I would have been making the payment under section 74, my recipient would not be eligible to take the ITC because it is expressly blocked under section 17 subsection 5 clause I. But if I am making payment under section 73, my recipient is eligible to avail the ITC, which he might not have availed earlier because I did not make payment to the government exchequer. And section 16(2)(c) says that the supplier should have made the payment to government exchequer if the recipient wants to avail the ITC. So in those cases, how the ITC will be going to, the recipient will be going to know that the supplier has made the payment under 128A, one question. Second, what will happen to the fact that it is not appearing in my 2B because I am making payment either in e-credit register, e-liability register, or via DRC3. So it will not be appearing in GSTR 2B of the recipient. So how will he avail the credit? Because there is a condition added to section 16(2) that whatever credit is appearing in your 2A 2B, you can only avail that credit. So that is another challenge. Second challenge. Third challenge is what will happen with the section 16(4) timelines if the recipient has not availed the credit till now, but now when the supplier is making the payment, now the recipient wishes to avail the credit. So what will happen to section 16(4) timelines? The fifth issue that needs clarification is what will happen if I have already made the payment via GSTR 3B. So as per the scheme, it only acknowledges two methods of payment. One is DRC 3 and the other one is e-liability register may credit entry. So if I've already paid through GSTR 3B, in that cases, how will I be able to adjust the amount? How will I be able to show? In absence of any clarification, the taxpayer will be compelled to take the refund of the payment that is made in GSTR 3B and make the payment under 128A. This will the taxpayer will incur cost. There will be an administrative inconvenience also. There may be cases also where that payment via GSTR 3B has already been lapsed. Sorry, the refund has already been lapsed because that payment was made 3 4 years back. So all those issues will come. So the government should clarify that how 3B payment can be adjusted through the payment that needs to be made via 128A, under 128A. And the sixth clarification that is awaited is how to restore the appeal. So I have already withdrawn the appeal. That mechanism is already been given by GST and advisory, read with Rule 109C of CGST rules. But in case I get my application rejected under the scheme and now I want to get my appeal restored, what is the mechanism available on the GST portal to get my appeal restored, or if I need to file a manual appeal again before the first appellate authority. So for all these six issues, we have already made a representation before the Honorable Chairman, CBIC, requesting them to intervene and issue a suitable clarification. Now there are some procedural challenges, the four challenges which I feel the taxpayers are facing. First is while filing the application in table 2, the total of tax, interest and penalty is being shown under tax column. So while filing the application, there are three columns: tax, interest and penalty. So suppose the tax has a tax liability is 100 rupees, interest liability is 20 rupees and penalty is 10 rupees. So while filing on the portal, it is showing 100, 20 and 10. But when we generate the preview and when we finally file the application, in the application that is filed, the PDF that we download of SPL02, in that case, 100 plus 20 plus 10. So 130 is coming under the tax column, then 20 is coming under the interest column, and 10 is coming under the penalty column. So the tax column is showing the total of tax, interest, and penalty, 130 rupees. So in this way, it might create a confusion from the officer's point of view, that he'll see that there is a liability of 130 rupees under the tax column, but the assessee has paid only 100. So it might lead to unnecessary rejections or issuance of show cause notice. So that needs to be rectified by the GSTN, because my actual liability is 100 and I have already paid the 100 rupees. The second problem is in table 2, it asks, there's a drop down menu which asks against which order you are filing the application. So it has section 73 order and other sections that are there, but section 107, the first appellate authority's order, is not listed in the drop down menu, which may again force the taxpayers to file the application saying the order is under section 73 while it is actually under section 107, the first appellate authority's order. The third issue is that in case the interest and penalty SCN is only there is no tax payment. So I don't need to make any tax payment. But while filing the application, the proof of payment, uploading the proof of payment is a mandatory field. So in that case, what document is to be required to be uploaded by the taxpayer? Because the liability is not of tax, it is only of interest and penalty. A circular simply says that interest and penalty cases are also covered. So I don't need to make any tax payment. So in that cases, how will I be able to upload any proof of payment? That is another area that needs clarification from the government. Meanwhile, I would suggest that you take a screenshot of the e-liability register and upload it as a proof of payment with a covering letter saying that as per the show cause notice, there is no liability of tax, as also evident from e-liability register that there is no liability of tax and therefore I need not pay any tax. I can simply opt for interest and penalty. That document can only be uploaded as of now in absence of any clarity. The fourth issue is, suppose my date of order is, let us suppose 31st of August, and I am filing the application today, that is on 5th of March. So while filing the application on the portal, it is showing the date of order as 31st of August only, but while generating the preview and while filing the application, it wrongly takes the date of order as today's date, 5th of March. So the order date is being shown as 5th of March. This might again lead to confusion to the proper officer. He might say that 5th of March order is not covered under the scheme, you are filing for some other period, and those kind of unnecessary clarifications will follow from the taxpayer's point. The officer may issue show cause notices for that, or maybe reject the application saying that your order date is after the date of this scheme. So that is another challenge, that there's a technical glitch, that the date of order is being changed to present date, not the actual date of order. That needs to be addressed also. So friends, with this, I conclude my today's session, wherein we discussed various aspects of this scheme in a very simple manner, along with illustrations, along with the open issues that need clarification. Now I'll quickly take the question and answers. I see that there are many questions that are pending in the chat box. I'll try to cover, but given the time frame, I'll try for maximum that can be covered. For no, Shivam Garg ji asked, for non-compliance with notice issued under Section 61, penalty under Section 725 was imposed. Whether it is covered under? Yes, sir, it is covered. As per the circular, it has been clarified that penalties under 122, 125, every section penalty has been covered. But in your case, the notice has been issued under Section 61, which is scrutiny of return. So ASMT 10 is issued. Against ASMT 10, you cannot go. If the ASMT 10 has been converted into show cause notice and it is for first 3 years and the penalty is 125, you can go. You can very well get the waiver of penalty under Section 125. Mr. Mangalji asked, order in appeal has been passed by the first appellate authority. No appeal has been filed before the GST tribunal as the same has not been constituted. How to get the benefit of 128A? The order passed by the first appellate authority does not appearing at the place as mentioned in the circular number this. How to get benefit? So, sir, in that case, there was a circular that was issued last year in 2024, which says that in case you have an order in appeal that has been passed but GST appellate tribunal is not constituted yet and you wish to file an appeal as and when it is constituted, in that case you need to file a declaration with the jurisdictional officer undertaking that I will file the appeal once and as and when the tribunal is constituted, and you need to make the payment of 10% pre-deposit as per section 113. So my advice is that you file that declaration, you file that 10% of pre-deposit, and then you opt for the scheme, saying that if I'm eligible under the scheme, I'll not file that appeal before tribunal. If I'm not eligible, I'll file the appeal before tribunal. For Mr. Shivam asked, for the financial year 1920, the tax was reverted after 30 days of issuance of SCN under Section 73, but penalty was not paid. My question is, first, whether penalty is leviable or not, and second, is it covered? With respect to a second question, definitely it is covered under Section 128A. With respect to a first question, that whether penalty is leviable, I feel as per Section 73, if you make payment within 30 days of issuance of show cause notice, no penalty is levied. If you make the payment of tax along with interest, in that case, no penalty is levied. So I feel if you have already made within 30 days along with interest and tax and interest, in that case, penalty will not be there. Even if there is any penalty, you can very well avail the benefit under Section 128A. Someone asked whether this scheme applicable for cases where only interest liability decided as per order. Yes, I have already answered. This is a case covered in circular also. Mani Maran Nagarajan ji asked, GST 3B was filed after the due date and the tax was paid. However, demand order under Section 73 has been issued for. Sir, again, this is a case of Section 7512. Circular says Section 7512 is not covered. This has been clarified in the circular that these cases are not covered under the scheme. But I feel that if show cause notice or a demand order has been issued instead to directly resorting to recovery under Section 79, I feel it should be covered. We have already represented to the government. I would suggest you file an application. Maybe high chances are the officer is not aware of all these things and he will himself accept your application and pass the order, acceptance order in SPL 5 or 6. But ideally, it should be covered because they have resorted to Section 73, 74. Someone asked if assessee paid the applicable GST before due date but couldn't file the GST returns on or before due date. Will that assessee get the benefit of this scheme? Yes, definitely. If there is a show cause notice or order that is benefit available, the application requires to upload DRC 3 since no tax payable. Sir, I have covered both of these issues. That first, it is covered as per the circular, it is covered. Secondly, what to upload, I have already discussed in the later part of my PPT that ideally you should upload a covering letter as well as the screenshot of your e-liability register wherein there is no tax demand and as per e-liability register. Mr. Sanjeev Batraji asked whether we are eligible to avail the benefits under the GST scheme notified under Section 128A(1)(c) of the GST Act in case where the first appellate authority has no appeal. Further, it is necessary to file an appeal. Sir, I have already answered this question in the first query that I took. Mr. Rakesh ji asked, in our SCN was issued, in our case, SCN was issued under Section 73 proposing demand of tax interest and penalty. We proposed tax but not the can I. Sir, again, I have already answered that you can very well go for only interest and penalty demands. Mr. Shivam Garg asked for difference in 1 and 3B. The tax was paid in next financial year, but within specified period, the demand for interest and penalty was imposed. Now there's bill 2. It asks for proof of payment. What should be attached? Sir, I have already answered this on similar grounds. If tax was paid through DRC 3, but under heading of annual return, then what is to be attached under the heading proof of payment made? Sir, you need to file DRC 3. You need to convert DRC 3 into 3A. If it gets converted into 3A and your liability is adjusted in e-liability register, in only that case you'll be able to adjust this. If it is not, does not cover, it does not get adjusted in e-liability register due to the fact that you have made the payment under the head annual return. In that case, again, there is lack of clarity from the government that whether you need to make the payment again or how will that be adjusted, because the only proof of payment that has been acknowledged under the scheme is e-liability register may credit entry. That is the only proof. Mr. Ashish Trivedi ji asks, what if order is only for interest and penalty? Sir, I have already answered this. Mr. Rakesh Arora ji asked if officer after issuing SCN under Section 73 could not issue the order as order is time barred. Can the officer issue SCN order under Section 74? Yes, under Section 74, if they have the timeline, they can issue, but you can always contest that on the same issue. First, you issued the show cause notice under Section 73. That means you're yourself accepting that my case is not covered under Section 74, but it is covered under Section 73. So you get that case covered, reassessed into Section 73. That way, you'll get the entire demand dropped. But it is within their powers to do. They can take arbitrary decisions, actions. Nehal ji asks, sir, when can we will get refund of 10% paid for appeal? You don't need to get refund. You need to only pay remaining 90%. Why do you need to go through refund? You need to pay only 90% remaining. Richa ji asks, an order for 1718 in Form DRC 7 has been issued for me. No appeal filed. Can I file? Sir, ma'am, I have already answered this in the later part of my PPT in the open issues. Ideally, you are covered, and I feel you should be filing. But this issue lacks clarification. There are different views in the industry going on. Neenat Shahji asks, what if appeal order has two issues, 16.4 and other demand? Did we file a? No, you need not file a rectification. Circular 238 already clarifies that you need not file the rectification. You just need to pay the demand on the other issue, which is other than section 16.4, and your 16.4 issue will also get dropped under 128A. Neena ji asks, what if yeah, I have done. Rakesh Arora ji asks, can we file application before 31st March 2025? Also, as tax, yes, sir, you can very well file. The GST and advisory dated 14th of January 2025 clearly says that you can now file the application. Both the forms have been made live on the portal. Mr. Vijay Chaudhary ji asks, in most of the cases in order under interest tab, there is no demand in CGST authority orders, whereas interest is applicable, but they did not mention the same in DS7. Then you, sir, first of all, I did not get your question properly, but in case you are saying that there is an error that has been committed by the authorities, you need to get it rectified first. Then only you can apply under 128A. Or if it is not rectified on or before 30th of June or 31st of March, as the case may be, you can file an application and submit it to the authorities that this was passed in a wrong manner. Ms. Garima ji asks, can you file an application against DRC 3 paid voluntary basis email received from department? Yes, you cannot file basis email received from the department. You can adjust that DRC 3 if there is any show cause notice or order pending, but you cannot file it against any, email from the department. Uh, Tarang ji asked, hi, we have paid 10% towards 16.5. Whether DRC 3A is required or not, no liability under the scheme. DRC 3 is definitely required if you want to prove. First of all, 16.5 is not covered. You will get the benefit of 16.5 automatically. So you need not file DRC 3A in this case if the issue is only of 16.5. If the issue is only of 16.5, you need to file a rectification application. Appeal was already filed. You win the case and take a refund of that 10% pre-deposit. If there are two issues of which 10% is already paid of 16.5 also, in that case, I feel DRC 3A should be filed only for that other issue. You must have paid 100 rupees through DRC 3, 20 is towards 16.5, 80 is towards other issue. So you need to file DRC 3 only for 80 rupees. There is an option in DRC 3A that how much from DRC3 you will want to map to order. So you need to map only 80 rupees, 20 you will get the refund once you will get the benefit under the scheme. Can appeal be filed against the rejected rectification order? Yes, it can be filed. Mr. Tarangji asked whether late filing of 3B can be waived under the scheme. Yes, sir. Circular says it cannot be, but if there is any show cause notice or order passed, it can be. If direct recovery proceedings has been issued for delayed filing of 3B, you cannot avail the benefit because there is no show cause notice or order pending. Someone asked 16.4 ITC considered twice, once in excess of the ITC parameter and once in 16.4 parameters. Can we get? Definitely you can get. But I would suggest if it is I mean, yes, you can get the benefit of Section 16.4. You need not even pay the taxes. Mr. Govind Agarwal ji asked, order details not getting auto-populated. While filing SPL02 on portal, after selecting yes in order uploaded on portal, it does not provide option to manually edit details of order. And after selecting order number from dropdown, nothing auto-populates. Sir, again, it is a technical glitch. You need to file a, you must raise a help desk query on help desk. If it is still not resolved, file the application as to the best extent it allows on the GST portal because you cannot file the application manually. So the only option is to file the application in a online mode. So file it as the portal allows and then in a covering letter state all the issues that you have faced so that a show cause notice is not issued. Mr. Nikhil ji asked, what about the waiver under provisions of this? How will this be factored? I've already answered. Govind Agarwal ji asked, acknowledgement reference number of payment made through payment against is not getting auto-populated. Again, sir, you need to wait. You need to file a help desk issue. Matlab, these are the technical glitches, sir. For technical glitches, you need to approach the correct forum, sir. Mr. Govind Agarwal asked, proof of payment of DRC3 with DRC3 is mandatory field. In case where order only refers, sir, I have already covered the first case. Second, in case where tax demand is already paid through DRC3 after SCN, 3 is not letting adjust that 3 due to difference in DRC amounts and order demand amounts paid through DRC after SCN. Sir, ideally the difference should not be there. So I'm not sure why there is a difference in DRC amount and the order demand amount. But still, if there is any difference, the DRC 3A asks that how much amount you want to populate to the pending demand. So I feel this issue should not come. Again, if this is an issue, you need to connect with me separately, sir. Call me or text me or drop me an email. Mr. Thomas asked, do we eligible for amnesty scheme if order under section 73 has been issued for 1920? Yes, definitely you are eligible. Mr. Amit Chaudhary ji asked, DRC7 issued only interest and penalty, how to file SPL02? Sir, simple, you have to file the SPL02, the order will auto-populate, the tax liability will not be there. So I don't feel there is any issue in this. Nehal ji asked, can we get a refund of 10%? Again, you need to pay 90%. Why do you want to refund, get the refund of 10%? Mr. Sanjeev Jain ji asked, for one ST SCN paid with interest and penalty and paid in full, but again, second notice received for interest. Sir, you need to contest the second notice if it is on the same issue. Why do you want to go for scheme? Karina Seniji asked, we have received an order of determination of tax from the GST department. We are opting to go for appeal. We have balance in our ECL. Can the liability be settled off through that ITC? Sir, which liability are you talking about? I'm not clear with the question that you are asking. What if we have filed a rectification with a time limit? Again, I'm not very well understood the question. So we have already 15 minutes past the deadline for today's session. I've tried to cover almost every question that I saw. There are still some questions pending, but the time does not allow us. I would request to send all these questions to me on my WhatsApp number or on my email. My phone number is 9871 9871 So if any query is still there, please drop me a WhatsApp or drop me an email on anmol.gupta@aprafirm.com. I'm putting my phone number and email ID in chat box. So friends, thank you so much. I'm just putting my contact details.
Thank you so much, sir. So I request everyone to please take a moment to scan and rate Texo.online. The link is also shared in the chat box. So, with that, we come to the end of this wonderful session today. I hope you all found the session informative and insightful. Our next webinar is scheduled for 22nd March. So, I request everyone to kindly register for the same. And I would like to thank C. N. Mol Gupta sir for his time today and for sharing his wonderful insights with all of us. It has been an honor and privilege to have you all with us. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Kajal.